the second chapter, that is Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. In the introduction they given about the word of geometry. It comes from the Greek words geo meaning the earth and the metrion meaning to measure. It means so measurement of the earth, or we can say it as measuring land. This branch of mathematics was studied in various forms of every ancient civilizations, be it in Egypt, Babylonia, China, India, Greece, etc. The people of these civilizations faced several practical problems which required the development of geometry in various ways. So like that they given here history of the total geometry. So for your knowledge purpose you read yourself, okay. So and here in next pages also they given about two mathematicians, Thales and Euclides. These two persons given so many definitions regarding the geometry. In that now we are going to learn few definitions which given by Euclides. Those are given in your textbook page number 30. So first 7 definitions they given here. First one is a point is that which has no part. Yes, obviously if I put a one point, so it doesn't have any part, okay, so we can call it as a point. A line is breadthless length, okay, if I draw any line it is having breadthless length, okay, you can make it continuously infinitely. Next, the ends of a line are points. Yes, obviously if I keep here two ends, okay, so I can give them as A and B. These two are end points of that line. A straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself, okay. So if I take any one straight line, so it will lies on every point, okay, if you count the points on those lines. Next, a surface is that which has length and breadth only, okay. See here, if I take this textbook surface, so we can say this it is a width and this will be length, or we can say it as only two dimensions, length and breadth. Next, the edges of the surfaces are lines, okay. So again I will take the example of this textbook only. So here the edges giving you a line, so that's why I can say a surface is that which has length and breadth. Similarly, the edges of the surface are lines. Surface having length and breadth, and those edges are in the form of lines. Next, a plane surface is surface which lies evenly with straight line on itself, okay. So obviously if I take this surface, one I'll take it as book as our surface, so it is including of straight lines. So wherever you can take the plane surface, it always gives you a straight line. Like that, here few definitions they given, but he listed totally 23 definitions. In those 23 definitions, here 7 they given. In going to the next page, there Euclid's given some axioms. So those are 7 axioms. Already you studied these things in 8th standard also. Those only continued here. So here total 7 axioms are there. So once you read them along with the definitions, means along with axioms, try to give one example. So it will be easy to get to know what are those axioms. For examples, I will take here first one. Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. So let's take one example. A is equal to C, and I'll take B is equal to C. Things which are equal to same thing. Yes, I'll taking here two things, that is A and B, which are equal to the same thing, that is C. Then equal to one another. It means here A and B are equal to one another. So automatically A equal to B will get. So the first example proved that if things are equal to same thing, A equal to C, B equal to C, then A equal to B. In second, if equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. So again I'll take here two equations. I'll take A equal to B and C equal to D. So if equals are added to equals, so these are equals are adding to equals, then if I add equation number 1 and 2, so I'll add here A plus C means right side on right, I'll add right side, and left side on left side I'll add. So A plus C is always equal to B plus D. The wholes are equal. So you can take it as equation number 1 and it as equation number 2. So if you add 1 and 2, you will get the wholes are also equal. That is A plus C equal to B plus D. In third, if equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. Again I will take here A equal to B, C equal to D. Okay, so I'll subtract the equation number 2 from 1. So if I take A minus C is always equal to B minus D. So remainders are also equal. It means whatever you getting A minus C, it is equal to B minus D. The fourth one, things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. Yes, if I take here one line A, B and another line I'll take here C, D. If AB is coincide on CD, then you can say that AB is equal to CD. Okay, are equal to one another. So in coincide means overlapping one on another without getting the any extra. So you can say that those both lines are equal to each other, AB equal to CD. The fifth one, the whole is greater than the part. So if I take A equal to B plus C, some integer. Okay, so A is whole and B and C are the part of that whole. So directly I can say it, A is always greater than the part. It means A is greater than B as well as A is greater than C. That's why the exam says that the whole is greater than the part. The sixth one, things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. So again I am taking here A equal to B. If I make the double of this, means 2A is always equal to 2B. Okay, so whenever you make the double of the same things, then those also equal to each other. Now taking the seventh one, things which are halves, halves means half of the same things are equal to the one another. So again I will take the same example, A equal to B. If I make the half of A and half of the B, then those also equal to each other. So half means 1 by 2 of A is equal to 1 by 2 of B. Okay, so whenever if you take the halves or half of the same thing are equal to one another.
The next concept is about Euclid's 5 postulates. Here postulates are given for the geometry purpose, which will prove the some definitions. Postulate 1, a straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point. Yes, whenever you start drawing the straight line, it will start from one point up to the end of the another point. Then only we can say it as a line. So line is always in between the 2 points. Next, for that first postulate, they given the axiom number 2.1. Given two distinct points, there is a unique line that passes through them. So just I told, a line is in between the 2 points. Here also, if you get the two distinct points, then you can draw only one unique line. Okay, so from here they given P to Q. So P to Q, you can draw only one line that should be straight. You can't draw a zigzag mode, or else you can't draw any other curve lines. If you want the straight line, it always lie between only two distinct points. Then you can say it is a unique line. Postulate number 2. The terminal line can be produced indefinitely. Okay, so if you have a line AB, okay, you can extend A at infinitely, and you can extend B also up to infinitely at the any end. So that's why you can say a terminated line can be produced indefinitely. Next, postulate number 3. A circle can be drawn with any center and any radius. Okay, so whenever if we want to draw a circle, we need center or radius. If you have any one thing, you can easily draw the circle. Postulate number 4. All right angles are equal to 180. Yes, obviously right angle means 90 degree. All right angles are 90 degree. So all are equal to each other. Postulate number 5. If a straight line falling on two straight lines makes the interior angles on the same side of it taken together less than two right angles, then the two straight lines, if produced indefinitely, meet on that side on which the sum of angles is less than two right angles. Okay, whenever if you adding or extending two lines indefinitely, that time they will meet at such a point. On that point you will get the sum of angles is less than two right angles. For this they given here one example. In page number 33 they given here the line PQ in the figure falls on the lines AB and CD such that the sum of interior angles 1 and 2, here inside 1 and 2, that the sum of interior angles 1 and 2 is less than 180 degree on the left side of the PQ. See here on the left side of PQ, these two. Okay, therefore the lines AB and CD will eventually intersect on the left side of the PQ. So definitely if we extend these A and C at any one end, they will definitely meet each other. This is the postulate number 5. Now directly going to the exercise 2.1. In first main, here you have to write the true or false. For these I directly given the answers once you check it out. Next, for the second question also they asking definitions. For that also I given.
In first one, only one line can pass through a single point. It is false, because infinitely many lines can pass through a point in different direction. So we can draw so many lines here. Next, second one, there are an infinite number of lines which pass through two distinct points. It is also false. Through two distinct points, only one line can pass. Next, third one, a terminated line can be produced indefinitely on both the sides. Yes, obviously it's proved in postulate. A terminated line or line segment can be produced indefinitely on both sides to give a line. Next, fourth one, if two circles are equal, then their radii are equal. Yes, obviously, always those radius will be equal. This is also true. Next, fifth one, here they given figure AB equal to PQ, PQ equal to XY, then AB equal to XY. So from the axiom that if two things are separately equal to a third thing, then they are equal to each other. In second question, here you have to write the definitions of 5 concepts. First one is parallel lines, perpendicular lines, line segment, radius of circle and square. These all things are you are familiar in 8th standard only. So these all are easy to you. Try to once you note down by using this video. In your fair book, write them neatly. In third question, consider two postulates given below. First one, given any two distinct points A and B, there exists a third point C which is in between A and B. And second one, there exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. So first one, in general, you only just take one line AB and you can put anywhere on that line because it is the collection of infinite number. A line always collection of infinite number. In those infinite number you can name any point as C. So here clearly they given there are an infinite number of points composing this line. Choose any except the two endpoints A and B. This point lie between A and B. And in second postulate also, if there are only 2 points, they can always be connected by a straight line. Okay, so already we know it is in Euclid's postulate. Therefore, there have to be at least 3 points for one of them not fall on the straight line between the other two. So if we have only 2 points, then we can easily make the straight line, but not in with the 3 points. In fourth question, if a point C lies between 2 points A and B such that AC equal to BC, then prove that AC equal to half of AB. Explain by drawing the figure. Yes, here directly answer I mentioned. So first draw the one line AB in between point C. So already they given AC equal to CB. So for that what I will do, I will add AC on both sides. So we will get here AC plus AC is equal to BC plus BC. BC plus AC. So equals are added to the equals, then wholes also equal. So BC plus AC, what is that BC plus AC? BC plus AC we will get AB. So in place of BC plus AC, I will write AB. And here AC plus AC is there, that becomes 2AC. So if you take 2 to your right side, so what we will get? AC equal to 1 by 2 AB. So what we need, that here we got. In same question, in reverse order they are asking in fifth. In question number 4, at C is called a midpoint of the line segment AB. Prove that every line segment has one and only one midpoint. Yes, obviously, because whenever you take the line, it gets you only half, means midpoint only 1 point. So that's why they given AC equal to half of AB. Similarly, AD is equal to half of AB. Then automatically AC equal to AD. But this is possible only if D coincide with C. Therefore, C is the unique midpoint. Now coming to the sixth question. In figure, AC equal to BD, then prove that AB equal to CD. So here I given the calculation, go through that, you will get it. Now seventh question. Why is axiom 5 in the list of Euclid's axioms consider a universal truth? Because here whole is always greater than its part. This is universal truth because part is included in the whole and therefore can never be greater than the whole in magnitude. So you already I given an example also, you go through that, you will understand easily. Now I directly go to the second exercise. Instead of explaining the theoretical things, you read it yourself. So in second exercise, first question, how would you write Euclid's fifth postulate so that it would be easier to understand? So in fifth postulate they given the sum of the adjacent angles at one side are lesser than 180. So in easy words we can write here, when two lines are cut by a third line such that the sum of interior angles is less than 180 on one side, then the first two lines intersect on the same side. Next, in second question, does Euclid's fifth postulate imply the existence of parallel line? Explain. It may be argued that Euclid's fifth postulate recognizes the existence of the parallel lines if the sum of interior angles is 180 on both sides of the transversal, then the lines will not intersect on any side. Condition for the intersecting being that the sum of interior angles on that side should be less than 180. So if two lines never intersect, they are parallel. So in fifth postulate what we need? We need they must and should intersect each other. So in parallel lines we will not get the intersection. That's why they are parallel and we can't imply for the fifth postulates. It completes your second chapter also. So try to read 7 axioms and 5 postulates for your FA1 examination. Thank you.